Kidding aside, the retro frame stuff is cool, but like they don't feel nostalgic to me for some reason. It just feels like, okay, they put the old border on some new card. I don't know. Just don't care that much. All right, Flooded Strand coming in for Force of Phil. We are underway. Looked like Phil took a mulligan.
Go ahead.
Sacrifice this.
Yeah, borderless are way cooler. I get way more excited for borderless cards. They just look way better. Goblin Welder comes in.
Underground Sea Mana League.
Underground Sea Pass. Urza Saga for Rockford. Okay, Soul Guy Lantern, nothing to hit. Could just be a way to weld. Okay, a second welder comes in.
Yes. Swing for one. Sure. I'm going to brainstorm. Go ahead. Yeah. Shuffle. Basic.
Okay, a red elemental blast on this brainstorm. Phil fetches in response. This is all with Goblin Welder in combat.
Dragon Rage's Channeler.
Sure.
Go.
What is life?
Alright, Drown in the Lock on Red Elemental Blast. Phil claiming already punted this game?
I'll take one.
I guess Rockford could have countered the Drown in the Lock by exiling the graveyard with Soul Guide. That was an option, I guess. Mystic Sanctuary targeting Brainstorm.
Arrow's fine.
Okay, firing it off now, so Brainstorm can't be put back on top of the deck. Here's the Portent for Phil. So maybe better in the end to hang on to Soul Guide Lantern and allow Brainstorm to resolve from Rockford's perspective.
I'll go with this.
Alright, Phil gets to draw a card. Saga ticks up.
All Wasteland here.
There's a plateau for Rockford now. Looks like Fourth Earlingus is in hand. Can't tell what the other card is. Maybe Fury? Can't tell.
Honor?
Yeah.
Fourth Earlingus for 2?
Okay, X is 2 for Fourth Earlingus.
Okay.
Fourth Earlingus. A legacy staple now for sure. It's getting forced. Alright, so no Monarch, no tokens for Rockford. It would have been pretty good if it resolved. But the double welders get in for an attack. Nothing really exciting to weld just yet, just a Soul Guide Lantern in the yard. Which, in the long term, could be pretty good because Phil uses the graveyard a bit with these Mystic Sanctuaries in the deck. Here's Counterbalance. Counterbalance is decent.
I'm beginning to think this isn't the mirror.
There's a Saga about to tick up.
I'll make a guy.
All right, this time chooses to make a construct. Phil will fetch before the search from Urza Saga. Don't want to get needled, I guess.
No trigger on this. No, it's fine. More fun than leaving. How many cards in here? 6.
All right, there's Grindstone combo piece.
Go to attacks. Take 6.
Yep.
Go.
Is counterbalance good versus Goblin Welder? In what way do you mean? Yeah, I mean it could counter it on the stack.
Yeah, that's good.
You mean if something gets countered, it can just be welded? All right, here's Jace the Mind Sculptor. We were talking about this card a little bit earlier. All right, a Brainstorm for Phil.
Combat. Second main.
Yeah, the welder can weld things if they're countered, if they're artifacts. But potentially, non-artifact cards could get hit, and if the welders can be removed. Okay, swords on the construct trying to attack Chase. It's gone.
Upkeep. I'll pay for a Delver.
Yep.
Draw.
Painter Servant is countered. So this sets up a situation we kind of just spoke about seconds ago, where Welder can now weld Painter Servant into play, despite it being countered by a Predict on top of Phil's deck. Using counterbalance. Predict being cast. Tundra getting milled.
Attack.
Now Brainstorm with Jace.
Go ahead. I'll draw on your upkeep.
Yeah.
So next turn, Rockford could potentially float a mana, then weld Great Furnace, Painter Servant, and win the game. Yeah, no weld in response to the swords. That's a good point by AP. But the only thing worth bringing back in that situation maybe is Soul Guide, if you want to protect Painter Servant for now from... Well, I guess we have 2 welders. Yeah. I mean, maybe Rockford just wants to hold the 2 welders up for now. In case maybe Grindstone gets targeted. You would keep an artifact in play? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Here's Mystic Sanctuary for Phil, targeting swords. So maybe this was Rockford's plan to be able to weld twice here. Soulgun Lantern comes in.
Targeting swords. Sure.
And target swords, and still has a welder available. So could potentially weld in Painter.
It comes into play tap.
Oh, it does, yeah.
It's possible that keeping both welders open was necessary.
And stuff.
Yeah, Jace -1 plus spot removal is another thing to play around too. Good point by Mirror. I missed that. Jace bounce and remove the other could have been pretty good. Grind and weld.
Okay, so this resolves, but the grindstone is still on the stack.
The grindstone
Deactivation is still on the stack.
Deactivation is down.
Okay, Grindstone has been activated and is being sacrificed to bring in a Painter with the ability still in the stack.
I'll name
I do. I think when it's your own trigger, you'll have to somehow trigger, but I'm not sure.
Predict target you.
Judge.
Mount.
No
Bills.
judge.
Miracle of Strength.
Okay, so a Terminus revealed on top as the card drawn from Predict. The Ancient Tomb gets milled. Mountain was the card name. It was wrong. But here's Terminus for Phil. That could wipe away both welders and Painter. Pretty good. And with Counterbalance and Jace on the board, the other welder can be activated here to bring back Grindstone, potentially.
Because that used to be the old rule. Somebody draw, like, does not remind you.
Yeah, it was.
And that'll protect Painter, for now, from being put on the bottom of the library.
on top, or if it was worth using my mana efficient.
I think it's tough because like
No, the painter can come back later with another welder or engineer. Both welders go on the bottom of the library. Phil gets milled by Grindstone and treat the angels important.
this play, if the triggers are made to that player, the opportunity to pay. Or your opponent can choose not to have the trigger on.
Interesting game for sure. Gian Look says, always watch the YouTube videos. First time I catch this live. Greetings from Italy. Hello from New York. Thank you for watching.
Play that.
Basically, I had to go for it.
No problem.
I was hoping that when I countered the force, it would read like he has a
I will
like
go to
let me hold off, try and get more.
All right, Phil with another fetch means another possible Mystic Sanctuary. Could put a Entreat back on top or Terminus, which is interesting.
Play against them.
I was
Gonna get very.
maybe.
Wonder what Rockford needs here. Maybe. Looks like Rockford's holding Fury, Swords to Plowshares, both. I mean, Fury could potentially remove Jace, but. Okay, has another Painter Servant. That's not bad.
Yeah, sure.
The Misty Rainforest could find a way to deal with it, though. Counterbalance trigger on the stack, fetching. And most likely this will just be Phil putting a 2 on top. Maybe Entreat? Oh, wait, that's not a 2. I guess Predict is a possibility.
Assuming now, now you're gonna fetch more, you know, in a manner conducive to actually cast.
All right, Predict back on top. Painter Servant is countered.
Brainstorm?
Yeah.
Yeah, it did. I thought I was playing the pseudo mirror, so like these force negations aren't exactly what I want.
Yeah, the basic island.
The basic island. When you try to crack the bayou, I'm like, this still could be. I've seen.
Fury pitching Fable of the Mirror Breaker. This could get Jace off the board. Fury, unlike Pyrokinesis, can hit Planeswalkers. Thwart returning double Mystic Sanctuary and an island, I believe, and floating 3 blue. So Fury is countered. Second Grindstone.
Counterbalance trigger.
They played Infect.
Go.
But I'm really going to go into Original Weekend, and I don't think Infect is really where I want to be. Also, hey, I love playing this game.
Definitely, you're gonna get some amount of equity here.
Jace brainstorming.
Yeah.
Phil has multiple Mystic Sanctuaries in hand, but plays a fetch and passes the turn.
Like cutting no rods.
Wasteland?
And I was like, good.
Wasteland.
Well, the only reason no one's putting Go Rods in there is a pretty good 8-cast player.
This game seems over? I don't know.
Quite a good 8-cast. There's a lot of artifact hate, but there's almost no slip.
It's Mystic Sanctuary for Phil. What are we putting back on top?
Sure. You don't care about order of gradient.
Predict goes back on top. That's 3. Now a Fate Seal. Once we hit Fate Seal mode, we're in pretty good shape on Phil's side. Left it on top, which means this is probably going to be a draw Phil doesn't care about.
My dad.
You weren't afraid of what's on there. So I don't know if it grinds on myself or if it grinds on you.
Rockford thinking, do I want to grindstone myself or grindstone you? Going for himself. Ancient Tomb, Urza Saga. Okay. Is it worth it to grind Force of Phil? Change the top of the deck? Or mill himself to remove whatever was Fate Sealed, which was an Ancient Tomb. Red Elemental Blast targeting Jace. This is game 1. This card's in the main.
I'm going to predict target myself. Sure. Trigger on the stack.
Delta fetch? Yep.
Colorless is not a color for Grindstone, no. Lands do not have a color. Normally.
Go. Trigger on the stack, activate.
Besides Dryad Arbor, are there any other lands that have a color? That's a trivia question. I can't think of any.
I'm gonna fetch team.
Web turn. Yep. I'll pass with 7. Okay.
Aurora Phoenix. Not a waste. Cascade.
Go.
I'm gonna brainstorm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Officially?
Creative technique.
May I? Yes. Misty. Oh, yeah. Thank you.
I'll demonstrate it.
I'll buy.
A 5 and a 2, not a 6 and a 1? Oh my god. That's not how you do dice.
I'm gonna ponder.
I'm gonna ponder as well.
Yeah. Sure.
Seems like a misplay. All right, here's Ponder for Phil.
Just exile.
Okay.
I haven't made a land drop this tournament.
Hype Train Conductor Scott says that's how Jace rolls. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know about that play.
Move to discard. Okay. Force. Between force.
Discarding Terminus. It's a good sign for Phil. Now Grindstone will target Phil this time. 2 lands, an Underground Sea, and a Mystic Sanctuary this time.
I get the draw. I block. Yeah.
It does.
Okay, so they rewound a little bit there to allow end of turn effects. Once you discard for hand size, your turn is over. There's no end of turn window after that. All right, Fury pitching Fable of the Mirror Breaker.
Yep. Counterbalance trigger.
Jace has 7 loyalty, so. All right, now a Brainstorm. Yeah, I'm giving Force of Phil a hard time on today's stream, it seems.
Taking 1 from that new Rivulet. If you want to play that arrow.
Me and Force of Phil might be on the outs after today's stream. This might be it. Might be over.
Results.
Friendship is over. Lewinill's in the chat. What's up, Jason?
I'm gonna fetch.
All right, Drown in the lock, targeting Fury.
Could there be a veil of summer waiting for me?
Yeah, the Grindstone Sanctuary and Treat situation is going to get interesting the longer this game goes on, that's for sure. But Jace is ticking up. That's all I'll say.
It's a good ponder.
I think I misplayed there. That's a lot of things to think about. Trying to figure out this deck. Mystic Sanctuary. Yeah. I'll target. Which one? Drawing a lock. Okay. There's one more. Go.
All right, Mystic Sanctuary puts Drown in the lock on top. Now Grindstone stuff is happening. Both cards are blue. Soren's Ransom, Drown in the lock. And then Counterbalance Terminus. Can Rockford mill faster than Jace can ultimate? Okay, now the dice are finally correct. Thank goodness.
Blue white.
Days for days.
Hype Train Conductor Scott impressed by full art Drown in the lock. Phil doesn't mess around, folks.
I'll target myself. Yep.
This isn't a game. Targeting himself this time. Okay, so Ancient Tomb Mountain. After Fate Seal left it on top, I guess. The decision changed.
Close.
Ooh, looks like Chaos Defiler was just drawn. I don't feel like it would have resolved, but it would have been exciting.
Yeah.
Mystic Sanctuary for Phil.
Yes, that's true.
Entreat on top. Chase the Mind Sculptor and treat the Angels milled that time. Chase is at 13.
Nope. Game 3. Or game 2. Or that was.
All right, going to game 2. Where's Dredge on the storm scale anyway? I don't know what they were thinking with that mechanic. I don't know. It might be worse than initiative.
Saying there's a chance.
All right, here's Grindstone. Yeah. High Train Conductors got impressed by the Jace WinCon.
You don't reveal it, right?
Pass through and try.
Okay, AP has looked into it for us. Dredge is officially a 9 on the storm scale. That's way too high for me. That's a little high.
I'll bring some here and stuff again.
Once we get past like 7, 8 on the storm scale, I'm not interested in that mechanic anymore. It's just too much.
I do have the Encore, yeah.
I will not touch a card with a mechanic higher than 8 on the storm scale. Just too much for me.
This deck is like
Plays there, then you name triggers. Now you go to Encore.
Force of Phil is Force of Phil is calling me out. I said Jace the Mind Sculptor is wrong, and then Jace the Mind Sculptor ultimated against a deck with 6 main deck red blasts. No loams for me. Dredge is just too much. It's toxic. How does it work anyway? It's a replacement effect for my draw. I don't know what's going on. It's too much.
I'm gonna force pitching or trigger
Chartwin, thank you for the resub. 41 months. Thank you, Chartwin.
It's turn-based for the first card I drew this turn.
What is the most playable card in existence with an untapped symbol on it for Legacy? I have no idea. Like, if you had to pick an untapped symbol card, what would be the best one? I have no clue. Mox Opal found by Saga.
Yeah, the first game you played. Yeah.
Target you.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping you'd go first so I could force that.
Pokemokey questioning the 9 rating for Dredge. I don't make the ratings. That's not my job. Magus in the Moon.
So this turn, you cast it from the K, that's 1.
Dress down in response to Magus getting red elemental blasted. Fluster Storm. Okay. Dress down will then resolve. So the moon effect is not live. But now it will go away, I guess. All right, Mystic Sanctuary comes in for Phil. Those of you that have been watching this channel for a while, though, are aware that I was banned from the old school 93-94 format. Now, things have escalated. They're thinking about banning me from Vintage as well. And We don't have a ruling just yet, but I may be banned from Vintage as well.
And around the stack. Brainstorm.
Painter's on the stack, and Phil's casting a Brainstorm.
You can also get around it to an extent. If you fail first, you then cast your 0/0.
Yeah.
So that was what else I was considering was like at 4 mana, it doesn't really stop you from doing a ton.
All right, Painter's in there.
Pay 2 life.
Surgical Lura.
Yeah.
You got it.
Blue has been selected.
The hand is.
I will pass. But then he just kind of slows down more than anything.
There's 3 total.
Looks like Rockford is holding a Surgical. Surgical targeting Brainstorm. Where'd this Terminus come from? Wait a minute.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Tough decision.
It's also a tough matchup. Also, my opening hand is just
There's a Saga View.
There's a side.
Oh, okay. We're casting Surgical on draw step? I thought it was on upkeep.
I'm gonna go to 19. There's one in the graveyard. If you want to.
How many mazes are there as well? That's
Just the one.
disrupting you, and then I was like, I'll look for everything else later.
Yeah, I don't know.
I guess it's on draw step. But Painter should go on Bob in the library. Brainstorm getting Surgicaled.
And when I first brainstormed, I was mostly at lands. I found the beans and the problem was, so I was gonna.
Okay, Phil's hand is Surgical Extraction, Polluted Delta, Predict, Scalding Tarn, Jace the Mind Sculptor, and Swords to Plowshares. So Phil also has a Surgical. This Painter in the graveyard should not be there, so let's see if that matters.
Both underneath.
I'm assuming you're. Yeah.
Surgical really, even though you had the veil, is surgical really take over force?
Painter's underneath.
And then when I saw that you
All right, it got corrected.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, that would have been problematic if it stayed in the graveyard and then Phil Surgicaled it, but we fixed it. All right, so Bloodstained Mire comes in. Looks like multiple moons are in hand for Rockford.
even if it's not necessarily like a guy.
Phil can just fetch here and float a white and remove it with swords, potentially. Shen, thank you for the resub with Prime. 12 months, a whole year in the best MTG community, Token Gate aside. Thank you, Shen. Yeah, Token Gate happened a really long time ago, and we don't talk about it anymore.
I don't know. I could bring in force. If I known you were playing carpets, which I probably should have, I guess.
Yes.
Maybe I could have brought.
Biggie is... I don't know what Biggie's saying.
Yeah, you got it.
All right, here's Entreat the Angels.
At least earlier.
Biggie's upset, is I think what we're realizing.
But there's a spot to like kind of like pinch them, I guess.
Oh yeah, I mean if you sequence it for the.
Goblin Lucky is is thinking what I'm thinking. Can't tell if joking. Yeah.
Maybe that should have kept. That definitely should have kept it, I guess. Meltdown's.
I don't know. Some people just barge in and they're upset. Who knows? All right, the angel attacks and the moon is on the board, so Phil's lands are a little sad. Painter's Servant.
Like cards. I don't know if you take them to I name or not, but I even like I take out my cards. I'm just not feeling really good at that point.
I guess I did see some amount of blue, but I usually don't bring carpets in against combo decks. I find mana.
Pyroblast on the angel, getting forced, pitching Predict. It would be blue because of Painter, of course.
And I was only a tundra away. I'm like, it's all the more dangerous when you're only one away, right? And you're like,
This angel could potentially race. Okay, Surgicaling Pyroblast. This angel could potentially race Moon plus Painter. Phil now taking a look at the graveyard. Also, we'll get to see Rockford's hand, but haven't taken a look at that yet.
I only have control deck. You only
Well, that's it's more easy for us to go.
and I definitely would.
Okay, Goblin Engineer, Fable of the Mirror Breaker, and Chaos Defiler in hand for Rockford. So maybe Engineer will be cast next turn, potentially.
Fun brew. It's not my brew. I'm not gonna
Or Fable. It'll probably be Engineer, is my guess.
I think I undervalued the power of getting death touch
If I'm
onto
like
my
wasteland
snakes.
locking,
Engineer feels a bit better to get on the board. All right, so there's Engineer, and most likely we'll find the Dragon Engine, Phyrexian Dragon Engine, is my guess. Yeah, that's why you split Pyroblast and Red Blast, folks. There you go. There's a lesson for that. Grindstone found by Engineer. That is the other combo piece. That's why we did that. And here's Goblin Welder as well. So Force of Fill in a little bit of trouble.
Do you normally play Delver variants or play all sorts?
I play all sorts of decks, but
I don't know how many like.
I don't often play Elder variants.
I guess those are.
I like Days.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to take out too many threats.
I know.
A land for Rockford would be pretty good, but it can also float a mana here, bring in Grindstone, and activate it.
like this deck is just gonna be a stranglehold where I have like
All right, GG's. Rockford gets it with the Painter Servant Grindstone combo in the end. Great match. That was a great match. Good games.